Hey everybody, welcome back. I am the strategy professor, and I believe this is going to be episode 6 of our legendary orc campaign in Total War Warhammer. So, last episode we learned quite a lot about the WoW mechanics. We did some very interesting diplomacy with different factions. We gained control of Karak 8 Peaks through Confederation after our other Confederation was nullified by the reappearance of a faction that we had confederated with before. If that sounds very convoluted and confusing, it kind of was, but we worked our way through it last episode. So if you're interested in how that works, how was a confederation able to be nullified by the computer? How was a faction that had been confederated able to reappear and take over territories again and now be hostile to me after we confederated with them? Just check out last episode. We do a lot of analysis on these strange occurrences that were happening. So, what this ended up meaning was I had a choice between this area and this area in terms of what I wanted to acquire, and I ultimately ended up siding with Karak 8 Peaks because I think this is much more defensible, although it has less territory than this place. Because as we can see, this is just a madhouse over here. Look at this. We even have these dwarves from over here to the far right actually scouting this area out, so they might actually throw their hat into the ring to try to control this area. So this is kind of king of the hill over here, and most of these guys are far stronger than I am. So, you know, I went ahead and bowed out of there fairly gracefully. I just sold all the buildings and just committed to losing that territory. So I still think this ended up paying off in the long run. I was a bit concerned because we paid 2,500 gold for this property a couple episodes ago. But with the buildings we were able to sell and just being able to sell in that gold building for at least a few turns, I think we ended up making a very slight profit out of that. So I think it was a neutral proposition, if not an advantageous one. So, you know, it didn't work out quite the way that, you know, we expected it might, although we knew there was a risk there. It was still worthwhile. Okay, so I hope everyone's caught up to speed now. I investigated a couple of things from the last video, like I always enjoy doing, to help bring you guys even more analysis of things that maybe I said that were inaccurate, or just decisions that I could have made better in retrospect after watching the tape and seeing everything else that was going on. So I have a couple of observations. One, Thorgrim was absolutely where I thought he was. He was right here after he sacked this building, and he went into whatever this stance is, encamped stance here. So I believe if you're encamped, you are able to actually recruit globally, but he was able to get these units in one turn. So he went from 7 to 10 units in one turn of encampment here. And he might actually go from 10 to 13 because he's encamped again. But it's supposed to take 2 turns rather, to globally recruit. So if we take a look, let's click on mine here. If I want to recruit globally, it's 2 turns. 4 turns for these biggins, because these biggins are available at this new place that I acquired. So I can get them globally, even though I don't have a building for it in this province. But it takes double the time. So instead of 2 turns, it takes 4 turns. So something that would take 3 turns, like Black Orcs, would take 6 turns. So that's a very long lag time on recruitment options for this very reason, so that you can't go into new territory and just encamp after you sack things and just keep bolstering your army while you're also doing productive work, like moving forward, taking on new settlements. They don't want you to be able to constantly supplement your army with global recruiting while you're doing that, because that's very abusive. You know, you shouldn't be able to make those kinds of you shouldn't be that efficient, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you should have to make a choice between recruitment or being aggressive, and this guy's able to do both in foreign territory. So I just assume maybe the legendary AI gets that, like they might get 50% recruitment time or something like that. So just know that they can be in your territory attacking things and also globally recruit at least units that would normally take 2 turns. They can get those for 1 turn. I don't know if they can get some of these larger units in 1 turn also. Like, I don't know if they could theoretically hire you know, something like Black Orcs and get those in 1 turn instead of 6. That seems like that would be particularly abusive, but we know they can at least hire probably the tier 1 units in 1 turn instead of 2. So that's quite massive from a strategic consideration, that, you know, if yeah, if they stay in your territory, they're going to be gaining strength while also sacking you. Okay. One other thing that I just want to mention, then we'll go ahead and move forward with this episode. And let me check the time here real quick. Okay, so write that down. Sorry, time management skills, once again, not always my greatest strength. I just get so excited about ideas and just talking that sometimes I just forget that time even exists in the world. That goes for this video and in real life. You know, those of you that may know who I am out there, you'll just know that I can just get sucked into a conversation with people for, you know, 3 or 4 hours sometimes, and we just have a lively, really good time, but I would just completely forget that time even exists. Okay, so the other thing that I noticed is at the end of last episode, I had just acquired a new army right here when I took over Carrick 8 Peaks, and it was definitely an inferior army, and it was definitely going to die, and I wanted to get rid of it so that I could save costs. So I just deleted all of the units, and that was a decent decision because we were able to save some money. Because we certainly weren't going to be able to take on all of these armies, especially the dwarves who were sitting right here. But because I was going to delete those guys anyways, I should have suicided into these dwarves. So I should have just taken this army and just run it into these dwarves and auto-resolved. Because it was still like, I think it was 11 units or so. Maybe not that high. Maybe it was 7 units, but it was still a decent chunk of units here. And if I would have suicided into these dwarves, I certainly would have lost. But I would have done damage. So, you know, even if I knock out like, you know, even like a fifth of this army, it would still be worth it because they're not going to be able to replenish. They don't own territories here. And they're taking attrition, as you can see by this red bar and little skull and crossbones over their head. They're taking attrition anyways. So I should have suicided in there and just dented this army a little bit. So that way when I face them down the line over here, they're going to be a little bit hurt. Because I'm deleting these units anyways. So a consequence of that is I wouldn't get the potential to hire a free lord like I discussed last time because I dismissed him. I can hire him again for free. But I already had a free lord that was available from the earlier acquisition when I took the Teeth Snatches and dismissed their lord. So I still had a free lord waiting in the wings, and I'm not going to be able to hire 4 lords anytime soon. I might get a 3rd one, but certainly not a 4th one. So I think it would have been a much better trade-off just to suicide my army into the dwarves because I was going to delete them anyways. I just hadn't even thought of that option. And this might be pretty significant because it looks like they're posturing to take Iron Rock, and yes, I could come over here and, you know, probably hold it, but it certainly would have been much, much easier if these guys were, you know, say 20% damaged. That would make my life a lot easier. So that's just one other thing that I noticed that could potentially be a significant oversight of mine. So just want to throw that out there for you guys. I also heavily considered what I'm going to do with these buildings. I reconsidered it. I wanted to do it off camera because I took quite a while. I took probably 10 or 15 minutes to sit here and just sort of math out and figure out what I wanted to do. And the reason I did that off camera is, one, it's going to take a while. It took me a while to figure out what to do. And second, I already ran through most of these permutations in the last video when I decided to do the Tinker Shop here. I've just revisited my decisions and I've made some adjustments. So, and I'm going to walk you through the decisions without as much wavering as I did in my own time. So I've decided to go ahead and build trolls here instead of the Tinker. And I remember saying that you should build trolls in secondary buildings, and so I was setting up Black Crag over here. I was creating this place is going to be my troll space. But the dwarf threat has significantly amplified over the last turn or two, like much, much higher than it was. So these guys, we can't see their army now, but if you go back and watch the tape and what took this town, this was an extremely intimidating army. I think they had 4 or 5 rock labas. They had like 6 quarrelers or something like that. So they just have a ton of ranged, and they just are very, very problematic, and they are in a very aggressive position. We already know that they're attacking my property now. They're already at war with me, and they could very easily just hop over this mountain or hop down here and threaten Carrick 8 Peaks. So this is very dangerous. And on my other flank over here, I have 2 other dwarf armies. We just learned this guy can recruit while he's taking out these other units. So, you know, he could have a 20 stack in no time. while he's doing damage over here. So yes, I think it's abusive. Can I do anything about it? No. So the only thing I can do is prepare and just be ready for the eventuality that this guy's going to come for Iron Rock, and he's probably going to gain a bunch of levels from knocking on these guys, and he's probably going to have a 20 stack when he comes over here. So this guy already has a 13 stack. So, you know, I could be facing, and I mean, he could go into global recruitment right now and just pick up some free units of his own. I don't know why he's not abusing that system even more. So, you know, I could face anywhere from 20 to 30 orc units over here, and I only have one army that's even got any respectable amount of units in it. Yes, I have this wall here, and we're going to leverage that to try to, you know, reduce this threat over here. But it's still just extremely dangerous. So what this all boils down to is I need trolls immediately. Like, the time has run out. I mean, there could be more dwarves jumping over this wall too and threatening this place. So the time has come. Like, I need dwarves immediately. So if I were to make, or trolls, not dwarves. I do not want dwarves. I want them out of here. I want trolls immediately. So in order for me to get to tier 3, I have really strong growth here. Like 110 is fantastic growth because I've devoted a lot of buildings to growth over the last couple of turns. But this is still 2 more turns before I can even start building this tier 3 building. And then the tier 3 building is going to take 4 more turns. So that's 6 additional turns before I could get trolls, before I could even start the troll building. Whereas I can start that troll building right now, right here. And yes, it's not the most efficient. What does this building even do? Okay, so that's actually pretty good for Spider Riders, which brings me to another thing that I was strongly considering doing. So this is actually very, very helpful that I noticed this building here. Huh. Oh, geez, this game just never ends with the, the different options you can get. But just to put a bow on the troll thing, I can get trolls 6 turns faster here, and that is very relevant when these guys are just threatening from all angles. And I mean, this could be the entire collapse of my campaign if these guys sandwich me from this way and just start wiping everything out. Like, that's just a major threat. So I need to start trolls here. Is it the most efficient? Absolutely not. I should put this in a secondary building, but I just don't have any available. And if I wait on Blackrock, that's an additional 6 turns. So I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and just go ahead and get this troll cave. So it's going to take 3 turns to build it, and then trolls take 2 turns to build. So it's still going to take, you know, 5 turns before I even have any trolls. Whereas if I did the other way, you know, 6 plus 5, you're looking at 11 turns before you even get your first 3 troll units. So that's just unacceptable given the level of threat that we're facing right now. So the other option that I had considered, so we don't have a tinker shop now. So I want the tinker shop for sure, because let's take a look here. So I still want a level 3 as fast as possible. Well, not as fast as possible, it's still pretty fast. I'm going to upgrade this. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on that. We'll go ahead and update this, and the reason for that is it's going to give me 1 other cash building. It's relatively cheap. It increases the gold generation from the building itself, and it gives me 10 more growth. So that's about, you know, 9% more overall growth. So it's just a really good bargain, and it just takes 1 turn worth of growth to build it. So I'm going to be able to upgrade this building, you know, in another 3 turns anyways, even after using this growth here. So yeah, something like that. So I'm going to get 1 growth next turn, and then I'm going to have to go up to 300 again. So at any rate, it's just taking 1 extra turn to build this, which is not a huge investment. I can afford it right now cash-wise, and it's going to let me build that extra money building that I want to build. So speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and do that here as well. I mean, we could get something like a wolf den here, but we're going to get that elsewhere. Once again, we don't need leadership right now in this area because I have a major army stationed here, and I'm ready to face threats. So this is just a waste of a slot right now. So we're just going to go ahead and get the money building because we definitely need money. Okay, so the overall plan here is we're going to upgrade this building next. Once we upgrade this building, we're going to go ahead and get a tinker shop. I believe that was my plan. No. I remember the plan now. Okay, so we're going to get the wolf. We're going to get spider riders here. The reason for spider riders, once again, I've explained why they're useful in depth, but specifically against the dwarves, I'm able to flank around and take their artillery out really quickly. And they're very slow, so they're not going to be able to turn around and do anything about that. Also, I can get up and fight the quarrelers. Now, the quarrelers are decent. That's their crossbowmen. Those are decent fighters on their own, but the spiders are definitely going to be able to tie them up, poison them, and just really lock them up so that they're not going to be able to shoot at my infantry, because that's what I'm worried about the most, is getting shot at, just getting held and shot at by the dwarves. If you watch the dwarf campaign, you know that's their strategy to victory. They want to hold people in place and just pound them with their artillery and their ranged units. So I don't want that to happen. So I need something to get back there and deal with this, because as I've explained before, I cannot go toe-to-toe with them, with my missile units. These guys are just going to get slaughtered. It's a waste of time. So I really need flanking units, cavalry that can get over there and deal with them. The boar boys are decent, as we discussed, but they're just not quite as good for these kind of special ops, flank, and disable type of things that the spider riders are. So we want to get this gloomy hollows as fast as possible. This will also position us to pick up this Arachnarok immediately at level 4, as long as we can research the technology in time. So, you know, after we get level 3, we're just going to beeline and try to get to level 4 as fast as possible. That requires 4 growth, so that's going to take anywhere, I don't know the exact number, but 10 to 20 turns, something like that, to get this. So it's still a little ways in the future, but this would position us to go ahead and pick up that Arachnarok immediately, and that'll be a huge power spike, which we're probably going to need at that point if we survive that long, which I think we can pull it off. But so we're getting wolf riders here, so we still need that tinker shop, primarily just so that we're prepared to buy that the Arachnarok spider immediately. So what I'm going to do is sell this and get the tinker shop here instead. I'm going to be losing 300 a turn, which is bad because I only have 2,000, but we're also going to be able to build one more gold building here with this growth. So that's going to give us 200. That's going to compensate for some of that loss. And that's going to allow us to get trolls faster while also getting the tinker bench so that we can go ahead and start getting those research, including the troll heavy club research, which will augment our trolls. So that's a little bit in the future, but that's just what I've decided to do from a planning perspective. So I just wanted to run over that really quickly. Like I said, it took me about 15 to 20 minutes to come up with that strategy. And you know, you guys, you have to do this. Like, I know maybe I sound ridiculous and I sound like a broken record here, but you have to do this. Like, I'm not being too fastidious here or whatever. Like, you really have to do this on legendary mode. If you want to play at the highest level of gameplay, it's a turn-based strategy game. You have to really consider all of your decisions and make the optimal play. As you've seen, I've already made some pretty questionable decisions, and I spent a ton of time. Like, I should have suicided those things in there. I maybe should have not bought this property, although I think it worked out okay. In the dwarf campaign, I positioned myself slightly out of position here and got a lord killed. You know, I tried to attack a unit in the dwarf campaign in this town, got glitched into their zone of control, and had to fight a very, very scary fight that could have been campaign ending. I ended up winning, and you guys should definitely watch it. It was a great fight. I don't remember the exact episode. I think it was like 4 or 5. If you're interested, just say in the comments, and I'll let you know. But that was a fantastic fight, and it was great for you guys as viewers, but it was a bad strategic decision. Like, I should have anticipated that glitch could happen, and I should have planned around that better. So we ended up pulling it out, but it was very, very dangerous. So even taking the level of insight that, you know, I put into each one of my decisions, it's still not enough sometimes. So just in your own campaign, please slow down, take your time, just really think about what you're doing. It's not a race to finish the game. It's not timed. I mean, when you're actually in battle, it is a race. You have to make quick decisions, but when you're on the campaign map, just don't rush. Sit down, think about what you want to do, especially if you don't have a viewership. Like, I hope to be able to foster. I probably don't have much yet, but like, I hope to be able to foster. Just take your time, really think about your decisions. Take some of this critical thinking that, you know, I'm showing you guys and apply that to your own campaigns. Do not rush. Think very carefully about what's going to happen at least 2 or 3 turns down the line, if not 10 to 20 turns, like I'm starting to plan with my building arrangement here. So, okay, let's go ahead and move on. I just wanted to get all that out of the way so you guys know exactly what my plan is. So for now, what is the short-term plan? Okay, so I'm going to have to reposition over here to defend Iron Rock. I think I can do it. My only concern is if this guy comes over here and backs up this guy and they both attack Iron Rock. That would be a doomsday scenario. I think they can reach it in time. He's actually going to have 3 more units, it looks like, next turn. So that would be 13 plus 13, that'd be 26. These guys are barely scratched from attrition. So that would be 36 units. No. Sorry, 26 units. Math is hard. That'd be 26 units over here. And I'm going to have 18. Yes, Grimgore's pretty buffed up. Yes, I have invested in all these great stats. Let me see if they've done that. They have not. They don't have that many points. Let's see. No, and he has wasted a lot of his points in campaign skills, as we can see. So that's the least efficient tree. So they are not going to have those crazy stats that I get in my dwarf campaign with Axe Lord. They don't have that, so that's a perk. But this is still going to be a very hard fight. There's still legendary AI. They still get major stat bonuses. So if it's 26 on... I'm only going to have 18, because if I burrow under, I'm not going to be able to recruit. So I'm going to have 18. And then, how much do we have in this garrison? 5. So I'm going to have 23. So it's going to be 23 on 26. And as I've said before, trolls, or dwarves will absolutely shatter me without trolls. So it's dangerous to move over here. I certainly don't want to go into the town so that I'm trapped. I think I can maybe burrow, like, right... Let me see here. Let me see this. So I can burrow, like, maybe right here, just very on the edge. And then if they come over and double team me, I can just pray that I'm able to run and escape this way. It had better let me escape if they attack the town, because we saw they did that to me in the dwarf campaign. They attacked the town. I was outside of the town. And they did it twice in the dwarf campaign. Over here, that happened as well. So in Attila, if you attacked a town and someone else was within support range of that town, they had to do the fight and they could not run. So if you took the town, this army out here completely died. There was no way they could run out of it. So it was a nice trick if they were too far away for you to engage on. So like if you were doing like I'm going to do, and if the computer did this and hopped just out of range of your attack, you could actually attack the town and trap them into that fight and kill them. You can't do that, it looks like, in Total War Warhammer. At least the computer was able to weasel their way out of that. So I'm hoping that if I take the underway, pop up over here, if they attack the town, I'll be able to run, and I'm going to run up here. I mean, you can't control where you run, so it's very, I could actually run this way or even this way. But I think the most likely route, if the computer's trying to be logical and is reasonable with my run, it's going to run far away from the thing that's attacking it. So I'm hoping it'll run up here, and then they shouldn't have enough movement left to chase me that turn. So I'm hoping that I can at least put on a show of defending this place, and then in a doomsday scenario where they back each other and attack me, if I lose the fight, I should still be able to run away. It's still very dangerous. I might, I should probably just leave this alone, or at least that's a consideration, is just let this fall so that I don't expose Grimgor to that kind of punishment. But I think there's maybe a 30% chance we can win a fight against both of them with our garrison and some micromanagement. I mean, we do have boars, we do have catapults, so we might be able to work some miracles, but it's not looking good. But I think I'm going to do it. So once again, I don't want to go directly in the town, because if you are in the town, you are 100% trapped. You are not escaping if you're in the actual town. So if they fight me and beat me, they're going to kill Grimgor and everything here. So even if all this stuff gets scared and runs away, it's still going to die, because you can't run out of a town. Now, Grimgor is immortal, so he'll be back if he dies, but I really don't want to wait on him for 5 turns. That's almost as bad as dying. Okay, so I think that moved me, because I put the movement right on this rock or something. It actually slid me over here a little bit, so that may have been a misclick. I think I'm still in range. If I look at my feet, let me see. I mean, I can't do anything about it now, but I believe if you're on the edge of the circle, you will still reinforce, even if you're not all the way in the circle. So I think I should be able to reinforce. I can't do anything about it now. It may have been a mistake. We'll just have to see how that plans out. Okay, so with these guys, I said this at the end of the last video, but you can't save in the middle of a turn, so I had to restart the turn and then just go through some of the stuff that we saw at the end of the last video. So I'm going to reset it here. As we explained last time, I'm requesting that they run over here and deal with this. That doesn't mean they're going to do it. They will probably do it, but they could get sidetracked if another opportunity shows up. So if another army runs out of here, runs out of the shadows or something, they might just get distracted and run after them instead. So you don't have full control over the wall. Now, if I can get this wall over here and have enough time, if these guys give me a couple of turns, then this will definitely be an advantageous fight for her. We'll have 38 units. So even though these are small little crappy units in auto-resolve, I think it'll still give us fairly favorable numbers just from having a raw mass of units that are upgraded. So okay, so what is our mission over here? Let's so we can build big uns right now. We can't build trolls yet, but we can build big uns. So Biggins aren't great against dwarves because they don't have large units. Like, everything's small. They don't have cavalry. They don't have monsters. So, and dwarves are the main threat right now. But, and frankly, the orcs don't really have a lot of threat either. I mean, they can get boar boys, but they just don't have a lot of large units either. I mean, this is much better against cavalry factions. So when we start facing against the Empire, maybe the Border Princes, things like that, that have really strong cavalry, then the Biggins become a lot more relevant. Or when you start facing like the huge horde of chaos monsters they send at you, then it's more relevant. But they can still be useful versus things like trolls when the other orcs get trolls. So that's a consideration. But primarily, they just, if we look at them, they just straight up have better stats anyways. Even if, like, we aren't going to be facing down big units to get that 8 bonus, they're still better. I mean, their weapon strength is 42, melee attack is 38, whereas if we look here, you know, weapon strength is 34, and melee attack is 26. So that is significantly better. So we still want to get these guys, even though we're not using them to their maximum effectiveness, and they have 20 more armor. So even though we aren't using them to their maximum effectiveness, because we're not going to be facing large, they're still better than your initial units. So if you can afford it, you should fill out your roster with them. And we can't afford a ton here, but we can definitely afford a couple of them. And we're just going to be hanging out waiting for a couple turns anyways, while we wait on those trolls, so we might as well. So we're not hurt, so we don't really need to go into town. Now, a consideration also is there's going to be a rebellion here in fairly short order. So, you know, I don't want to do the math on that again, but remember, it's going up multiplicative. It'll be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever. I think there's 4 turns for the rebellion. So we should be able to go here, build a stack of Biggins, and then, see, the Troll Town takes 3 turns, so that's going to throw off our math a little bit. But we should be able to at least get a stack of Biggins, maybe 2 stacks of Biggins, and then run up here and stop this rebellion. So we want to be as close as possible so that we can do that. And we can use the underway, actually, to pop over this wall. But I want to stay close here so that I can make a move on this town. Let me see the garrison. We got 6 units. So I think if I have 1 stack of Biggins, that'll give me 6. It'll be 6 on 6. I have a lord. They don't have a lord. I have Biggins. They have goblins. So we should be able to win. So I'm just going to go ahead and position like right here. So I'm still in my own territory to recruit. I can still defend this town if I need to. I can run over here. I can run over here. Like, this is just a good placement. I mean, I know it seems like this isn't very far. It's just a few steps. But this is half a move in terms of your walking stance. So it could be very relevant. So we're just going to go ahead and recruit. Once again, they take 2 turns, so you have to plan ahead a little bit. I can actually get 4 of them because you get to a tier 3 building with orcs, you get an extra recruitment slot. You do not get that with dwarves, I don't believe. You might, but I don't think so. So this is a unique perk of the orcs, is that you get through this building and a bunch of other buildings, you're able to recruit units much faster than other races. So you can fill out your roster a lot faster, which is very helpful. Because your units, just in general, in the abstract, are not going to be as good in just a one-on-one straight-up fight as a lot of the other factions. They're just not. So the Empire, the dwarves, things like that, they're going to have more expensive units, and they're just going to be better one-on-one. So the orcs really need this balancing where they can recruit units a whole lot faster, and they get superior numbers through WoW and other things like that. They're kind of like they're not quite like the Zerg from StarCraft. I mean, the undead are probably more analogous to the Zerg, but they're similar in the fact that you need to have superior flanking maneuvers, and you need to be able to have superior numbers in most of the fights if you want a chance. So I know we beat up some other orcs in the 7 versus 11, but you're not going to be able to do that versus dwarves or Empire or something like that. So go ahead and hire. How are we looking on time here? Looking okay. Okay, I think that's it. So this is really dangerous. Where is that other army that I had? Oh, down here. Sorry. Duh. I'm zoning out here. I thought they were still around here. Okay, so I think that's it. Once again, we can't get text yet. That's fine. Let's take a look at diplomacy. Hopefully nothing as crazy is going on as has been happening last couple episodes. Just start looking for peace. No? Because remember, we can, if people are at war with us after a few turns, they might want peace, especially if they're in trouble. Okay, so once again, I had to make a choice last turn. You can only confederate one faction, and it has an 8-turn cooldown unless you get some weird situation like what happened down here. That was highly unusual that the Thief Snatches came back and it nullified the contract. But so we can't confederate the Orcs of the Bloody Hand, and they're very mad because we have that confederation with Greenskins penalty, as you can see there, because we confederated with a different faction. So they feel left out. They didn't get invited to the party. These guys are really mad. Okay, Red Fangs. Well, I'm about to take their town anyway, so I don't really care about that. That's fine. I am at war with them, but because I'm just going to take their town anyways, I don't want to offer peace, because that'll hurt me diplomatically, which I don't particularly care about a lot. Like I said, with the Orcs, you just fight everything usually, but there have actually been some very serious political moves, so I would like to maintain my reputation as much as possible with other factions. I want the steadfast modifier. If nothing else, I want this bloody spears. Once the dwarves smash them a little bit more, I want to be able to confederate with them to secure this mountainous region up here. Okay, Thief Snatch is still mad at us, actually extremely mad at us. If you look at all those modifiers, it's crazy. But let's just see if they'll give us peace. No, not happening. Alright, Scabby Eye are still... They're still cool with us because we get a huge modifier. Let's see if we're getting any more money from this. So we're getting 230 now. We started off with like 170, so we might actually get more money over time. But then also, you know, they might just be earning more money. Like they may have gotten a money building in one of their towns or something. So I'm not really sure how that mechanic works. You might get more over time. I know with trade deals, Orcs can't do them. But I know with trade deals, if you keep the trade deal for a longer period of time, it actually increases just incrementally, not a lot, but a little bit, how much money you get over time. So I'm not sure if vassals do that or not, but we're certainly earning a little bit more money here. We can change our war coordination target, actually. So these guys are closer, but I'm going to go ahead and change it to here. Just because they aren't responding to this, they just ran down here anyway, so they just kind of ignored my suggestion and ran down here because they didn't want to fight this guy. I don't know why, but I'm hoping that maybe if I change the person over to here, since this guy isn't a legendary lord, that they might be willing to go over here and fight him. I'm not sure why they aren't going after these guys. They just want stuff down here, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully they're not about to turn on me. That will be very disappointing because I have such high diplomacy with them. Okay, dwarves hate me. They don't want to do anything with me. Top knots. Okay, they don't want peace either. Border princes. Not fighting them, but
you come bearing arms.
They don't want anything.
Is it war?
They're actually at war with Black Venom now, so I don't know where Black Venom is. I mean, that to me that sounds like an orc faction. I'm not sure, and I don't know where they are, so this is kind of dangerous. But I can see most of my enemies within a certain visual range. So I don't think it's going to be somebody that just like magically appears in the middle of the desert or something like that. Like I think they're going to be someone over here that's not, it's going to be too far away to probably be a threat. So I'm willing to go ahead and go to war in the dark here. Let's see if we can pick up 500 bucks. We'll try 300. That doesn't work. We're out of here. I don't want to spend as much time on diplomacy. But once again, it's a necessary evil if you think it's an evil. I enjoy it personally from a strategic standpoint, but as a viewer, I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but it just has to be done. Okay, so we got 300 bucks out of it, and they're right here. So they are actually a bit closer than I thought. But and 300 bucks may not seem like a ton of money once again, but it could be relevant. Where are... Okay, so I'm looking right here. They're over here. They're just on the other side of these mountains. So I think they're pretty far. I mean, in a worst case scenario, they have to get through my other friends here first, my Scabby Eyes, and I assume the dwarves are probably not going to let them just walk through their territory, and we know that the border princes are at war with them, so they're certainly not going to let them just walk through their territory. So I think we're pretty insulated here from any sort of backlash from going to war there. So, okay, I think that's it for this turn. We're going to go ahead and press the button. I'm going to try to pick it up a little bit. You know, we're only going about 1.5 turns per episode. But I think, well, let's see what happens here. Okay, so they actually took that. Well, that's bad, but we scared these guys off. So we did intimidate them with the wall. Combined with our army here, they got scared and ran away. So that's actually positive. Okay. Now these guys are throwing their hat in the ring. I mean, we have a front seat here to battle royale, like, because they're just ignoring our towns because they're all fighting each other. I should have left that gold building there in retrospect. I think it's great to watch that. You don't usually get to sit there and just be a, you know, a fly on the wall and watch things like that. At least not on Legendary. Okay, what is this gonna do? Okay, so we can get a leadership of +6 for 3 turns if we pay 1,500 gold. 1,500 gold is a lot of money. Once again, it doesn't seem like a lot, but with the orcs in particular, it's very probable I'm going to go into the red with my money per turn at some point, because I'm just going to need those big 17 stack armies to get to the wall. So in my other campaign, I was in the red. Like at some point, I think I was 2,000 in the red, gold wise. Now I had like 30,000 at the time, so I had like 15 turns before I was going to kind of bleed out money wise, and I was able to stabilize around when I got to 15,000 gold. But especially with the orcs, there's a high chance I'm going to go into the red building up these armies so that I can go conquer stuff. So $1,500 is significant. I mean, that's one more turn. If I'm at 1,500 bleed out, this is one more turn that I could live. So now Morsleb's Wrath, sorry if I mispronounced that, but I believe that's usually just public order problems. I think it's like 4 turns of -3 public order or something like that. It might be something else. It might be random. I don't know. And it says risk it, so I'm not sure if this always happens. But am I going to need this leadership? Is a major consideration. So am I going to get into a big fight in 3 turns where I'm going to need the leadership? We just saw the dwarves run away from us. So my instinct is no. Because I'm going to take this town here, but that's not a major fight. Now we can see actually from our map here, this guy is creeping. So there's a decent chance that I'm going to have to fight this. And remember, this was a 20 stack, very intimidating dwarf army. So what might be able to happen is, I just thought of a scenario. I'll explain it in a second. But we might have to fight these guys. So 1,500. Once again, we need all the money we can get, but we do have a little bit of disposable income. I mean, this is kind of a toss-up. It just really comes down to, do I think I'm going to fight and need this leadership in 3 turns? And the answer, since this army is creeping, I think is yes. Even though these guys ran away, we're not going to have a fight here, but we might have one here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm not as worried about the public order. I don't care. I can just fight rebellions. That's not a problem. It's just having this extra 6 leadership and like a 20-on-20 battle over here. If I bring Grimgor over here for this, can be quite large. I mean, that can be the difference between units breaking or not. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. Okay, so lots of raiding. That's all that was. Primarily in this region, because this is just crazy down here. So I mean, these guys walked over here. How much do they have? So they have a 14 stack. And that's the crooked, right? This is crooked. This is Red Fangs. Oh, it's Crooked Fang Forts. These are the Red Fangs. Okay, so they're just really committing to coming over here and getting mixed up in this. Which is really opening this up for me to just take this for free and possibly this. Okay, so this is their full 20 stack army coming over here. This is probably the only army they have, but you got a 20 stack like that, that's probably all you need. So they even have great weapons on some of their dwarves, and what that means is that has a lot of extra armor piercing, and they give up their shield, which really makes them more vulnerable to missile damage. But I don't have any missile damage because orcs are terrible with missile damage. So even if I got the orc archers, you know, versus 80 armor, it's not going to matter. It's a terrible unit, even if they drop their shield to pick up this 2-handed axe. So they have a lot of piercing now. Like, that's 21 piercing. I mean, that's effectively a tier 3 unit, because you can't do that upgrade until you get your tier 3, where you can also get the long beards. So we don't know what else is in here. Like, if they've got that, they very well could have long beards. I think we just saw their roster up here when they took this, and from what I can remember, they didn't have long beards. But these great weapons are still a pretty sizable upgrade. We can see he's getting all character skills. So he's going to be a good duelist. So he can go... I don't know if he can 1v1 Grimgore, but he's going to be better at fighting Grimgore. But that means that they don't have that insane dwarf bonus that I mentioned before. So that's positive. If they had that combined with the legendary stats, I don't think there's any way we could possibly fight them. But because they don't have that, we might be able to do it. So what's our strategy? Okay, so if this guy comes knocking on my door, I think because of the zone of control here, I don't think he's going to be able to run around this. Although he can burrow underground to try to get to this army. If he takes the underway, we might get an option to intercept him in the underway. We are absolutely not going to do that, obviously, because he will crush us. But Grimgore is not as needed here. It looks like they're setting their sights on moving down here to fight instead of fighting me. Now, if I leave this area, they could very well turn back around. But if I bring Grimgore back and I can recombine with this army, then I just might be able to fight him. So that's going to be 18 plus 7 is 25. I can recruit 2 more units with Grimgore, probably, if I just do a normal move this turn. Well, that might be too slow. But I can almost certainly finish this recruitment and then just, like, grab 4 orc boys or something here. I might even, you know...
No, I will not shame my clan.
I'm considering getting archers, but I just don't think I'm going to do it. Because I could, because this is a tier 3 building. So I could get these arrow boys if I really wanted them. But once again, let me look. Once again, they only have like 4 piercing, 5 piercing, so they're just really not going to scratch dwarves. Good's a strong word. Decent against orcs, bad against dwarves. So I think I'm just going to build 4 more orc boys here. I should have 1 more turn to do that. I may not. There may come a reckoning, but especially if I'm able to use this garrison. So this garrison is also going to add, it has big ones because it's a tier 3. I get slightly better units, and it's got 8 units. This could be, if they go up here and try to siege this could be 8, 7, that's 15, plus 18, so that's 33. I can probably win with 33. I know that sounds absurd, but dwarves, I can't overstate how strong they are early game before you get trolls. And they're almost certainly going to lock this place up before I can get trolls. So it's 2 more turns on this building. If they siege it next turn, it freezes all building development. So it's going to stop this troll place from being made. And also, if they siege it, it turns off all recruitment capacity for buildings that are in that town. So even if I finish the dwarf thing, if they come up and siege it next turn, I won't be able to build dwarves. Even if I'm outside of the town, I won't be able to build dwarves. So it disables all the buildings that they're sieging. So now, a really cute tactic that I just thought about. How are we looking on time? Okay, is that the... I think I'm looking at the right sheet here. I'm sorry, I'm going to minimize really quick just to see how much time, because that doesn't seem right. I can't actually see. Okay, there it is, okay. Okay, that is right. Sorry, forgive me there. I really want to try to keep it to an hour here. So the other cute tactic, I just thought I'd been talking for longer than I had been. I've been talking a lot, obviously, but I thought we were just about out of time. So the tactic here, I thought about, okay, can I get cute and, like, you know, burrow over here and then just, like, single move, like, right here, and then they're sitting here, they might have vision of this. I don't know if they will or not. But if I can just, like, hide right here and then just boom, underground, jump right past them, and then off of that underground, use that as reinforcement to run in with this guy and then just, like, sneak attack them. So they don't see the 36 units coming, and then just boom, just sandwich them right there. The only problem with that is if I go underground, there's a chance they're going to intercept me. And there's a pretty high chance they're going to intercept me, actually. And if they do that, I don't think I can win 20 on 20. Like, I can work a lot of miracles, guys, but like I'm saying, the dwarves are extreme, especially early in the game, especially when they have tier 3 units. So, you know, I could work some magic, you know, in some of these fights in this campaign and in the dwarf campaign, but I don't think that's a risk I can take. Like, it would be cute, it would be cool to just jump out of nowhere and maybe surround him and kill him. But if you use the underground, you have to be willing to fight in the underground. You have to consider the worst case scenario where they're going to fight you, or sometimes the best case if you're trying to bait them. But this is not a bait that I think I could win. So what I'm going to do then is just underway over here, walk down here with a single move, recruit, and then I'm just going to use the dash to wrap around here if they come at me and just reinforce and attack them that way. So they're going to see it coming. It's not going to be as cool. I'm not just going to like fly out of the mountains at them, but it's just going to be a lot safer. I just can't afford to risk an 18 stack Grimgore army losing all of that in an underway. So I'm going to go ahead and burrow over here. Now that these guys are running and it seems like they've recommitted to coming down here and getting into this melee, I can issue new orders. So these guys are losing a little bit every turn that you see. Like, you have to keep them going. They have to keep fighting. So they're losing 2 every turn and an extra 1. So if you don't do anything with them, then they'll just disappear. But as long as you keep fighting, I think they can last pretty much indefinitely until they die, as long as you keep fighting. Now, this keeps stacking up, so that wall is -2 right now. Next turn it goes to -3, then 4, then 5, and so it gets harder and harder to hold on to them. But if you keep fighting with them, you can keep them for quite a while. So I'm going to reset the target to this building here. So they're going to attack this at the end of turn because I don't think these guys are a threat right now. As I said, they could double back, and that would be problematic, but I don't think they're posturing like they're not going to be a threat. So they might fake me out, but I'm going to gamble that they're going to leave me alone for now. So I'm going to go take this town. This will give us a little bit of money. They might even occupy it. We're mustering here. We can't do anything here. I don't think we can build any more buildings. Let me take a look here. We can. So we want to get the Tinker, like we said, just so that we can go ahead and start preparing for that Arachnarok Spider, because it's going to take a long time to get through all those techs, you know, probably 20 or 30 turns. So we want to make sure that we're ready. Once we get to tier 4 up here, we can get those spiders like as soon as possible. And we'll also pick up some extra things like those orc clubs and stuff like that. So it's just a good building to have. And we can get rock lobbers, which have heavy armor piercing, and dwarves move very slowly. So, you know, we might actually be able to shoot and take out some of these dwarves. Now, they have their own artillery that are just as good, if not better, than rock lobbers. But nevertheless, at least we'll have something if we hire those rock lobbers. I think they might be a single turn higher also, so that's really helpful. Okay. I don't remember if we looked at diplomacy. Yes, because we just declared war on these guys. Okay, so we're good on that. Let's go ahead and end the turn. Okay, let's see what the... Oh, they stopped and raided, I think. Or did... What are they doing? Why didn't they just attack it? That's aggravating. Because I know they can move further than just this. I mean, come on. Okay, so these guys have finally decided they want this territory. I'm just going to give it to them. No way I'm winning that. It's of no value to me anymore. I already got rid of the gold building, so... You know, we could have maybe milked another 100 gold out of that hurt building, but, you know, it's not really that consequential. We took a more secure 200 gold when we got out, when we did. Okay, so they're taking this. Okay, so Thief Snatchers are becoming quite a force down there. They just got a couple extra buildings. What? My gosh, these guys are just hustling me, aren't they? Every turn, they just want more and more money. It feels like I'm asking myself diplomacy now. I guess with the irony there, right? So what goes around comes around, I suppose. They are trying to nickel and dime me here. Okay, so... Oh, this is extra growth at the cost of obedience. Yeah, I don't care about obedience. Like I said, I'm fine with... If people want to fight, I'll fight. Although I will say that, you know, now that these dwarves are posturing, I may not have time to take on a rebellion. Although they aren't getting as aggressive as I think they could have. Like, they could have probably come over here and siege this place, or at least got closer to the zone of control. So they're being a little bit more cautious, which is probably smart of them. But the real question is, with my unit down here, like committing to fight these dwarves, do I have enough resources to handle a rebellion up here? I'm not 100% sure that I do. But at the same time, I don't want to pay 1,000 gold, and I really want the growth. So I'm just gonna do so be it. So I want this to grow as fast as possible. How many turns was this? 4 turns. So that's 80 growth. So because I already have, well, it's in the 130s now. Either way, I think 80 growth is about, you know, 3/4 of a turn, maybe a little bit less. So it's almost a full turn of extra growth. So that's going to expedite how fast I can get up and get those spider riders and other units by almost a full turn. So I think that's worth taking a little bit of obedience hit. So that means that now it's 2 turns instead of, well, let's see if it would have mattered. Okay, so it's just 3, right? It's just 3 obedience. So this would have been 12. I would have gone to 95 next turn, and then I would have gone over anyways. So right now I get 15. I go to 98. So it's going to be 2 turns anyways. So it really, that decision had absolutely no effect on how fast I'm going to get a rebellion in this province. It was going to happen in 2 turns regardless. So that was a very good decision in retrospect because it didn't matter. It doesn't matter how far you go over 100. Once you hit 100, it's 100. You're going to get a rebellion. And then as soon as you take it down, you're going to go back down to 80. So it really doesn't matter how far over you go. So that was definitely worth it. Now this is going to spawn a rebellion. Once again, I only added on 3. So let's see if that would have made a difference. I don't think it would. 2 turns of 25 is going to put us at 108. 2 turns of 22 is going to put us at 102. So once again, we would have just barely gone over the threshold. But it doesn't matter. Over 100 is over 100. So we're going to get a rebellion in 2 turns regardless. So great decision in hindsight. Okay, so I have no idea why these guys didn't actually take this. Like I said, they're not even raiding. Like, what are they doing? Oh, they are raiding. Why am I not getting cash out of that then? Am I getting cash? Hold on, let me see this. Projected this turn rating, $0. So I guess I don't get the cash they get from raiding like I thought I did. So this is just, they just stopped and basically did nothing. So that's a risk with a wall. They're not always as productive as you'd like for them to be. So I'm just going to reiterate that I would really like for that guy to attack this, and we'll see if he does it. Okay, we got about 9 more minutes, so we might be able to do 1 more turn. We might actually be able to do we certainly can't do a fight, but we might be able to posture to where we can do a fight at the start of the next episode, because we're almost certainly going to have to fight these guys. That's just a foregone conclusion. That's going to be a very difficult, very challenging fight, probably. Unless I can bait them into superior numbers and auto-resolve it, which I'm going to do that, guys. I'm sorry, but it's absolutely auto-resolve if I can, because these dwarves, they are serious, serious fighters early on. I don't have the beef to take them on yet. Okay, so can't do anything here yet. Next turn, we're going to be able to start building this to surplus 3, and we're going to be able to get a money building here. We can go ahead and upgrade this, and we're going to do that. This is 13 turns to pay for itself. We're a little tight on cash, but we're also a little tight on liquidity here, so we need to be able to make more money. Okay, anything else here? No, these are both upgrading. So I'm under 1,000 already with this recruitment. I've got to recruit more. We're going to be recruiting trolls. Those are like 200 a turn, so, you know, it's getting down to it. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Okay, so I said the plan was to move like to this corner, and I think that is still the plan. So we're going to move to this corner and recruit. So I think I just go with Orc Boys here. I would like to save the money because obviously we're getting pretty tight. But I also just want the most combat effectiveness possible because this is a very serious fight coming up over here. These guys, what do we have? That 1 turn. Okay, so I don't have Spider Riders yet. That's very important to note. So I don't have a more efficient unit to apply poison. These Night Goblins can apply poison, and they're relatively cheap. They're only 105 gold upkeep per turn. I know I said I'm not that impressed with the Night Goblins, and frankly, I'm not. They don't have a shield, or they do have a shield, I guess, but they have virtually no armor, They just really don't do that much damage. Like, they're better than normal goblins, that's for sure. If we look at these guys, melee attack is 20, Night Goblin attack is 26 plus poison for just 30 more gold. So they are definitely an upgrade over your traditional goblins. So if you need just some cheap units to fill out, they're better. But they're still not going to be as good as Orc Boys in terms of just standard combat effectiveness. Actually, I might eat my words here. Let me look at this. So the Orc Boys have 30 more armor, but these guys have a silver shield, which I think it means they block 50% of incoming missile damage instead of just 30. So that's like an extra 20% missile mitigation. Do these Night Goblins? No, they don't have a shield. This is only for the melee ones. So the Orcs have way better leadership. Night Goblins have better speed. Orcs have better melee defense, and they have way better weapon strength. So, yeah, the Orcs are still almost unequivocally better in a hand-to-hand fight, but these guys have that debuff. They have the poison debuff, which can be very useful for applying to dwarf infantry. It's going to lower their damage, it's going to lower their vigor, it's just going to lower a lot of stats, and it's going to give me a chance to, you know, even up the playing field a little bit versus their armor. So I think I'm going to get one unit of these for sure, just so I can get the debuff. Because once again, I don't have the Spider Riders. Spider Riders are way better at applying that debuff than these Night Goblins are, but I just don't have them yet, so we're just going to have to make do. These guys are so weak. I mean, they're just barely going to tickle them with shooting this. Most of those dwarves are also going to have shields. I don't like the shooters as much. At least these guys can maybe land some hits. I mean, they've got 26 melee attack. Probably not a lot of hits, because the dwarves are going to have, like, you know, approaching 40 melee defense. So, you know, I'm going to have like a 26% chance to hit them. But they're at least a little more sturdy. I think they have more HP also. They do. They have like almost 50% more HP. So we're going to get 2 units of these guys just so we can put them on our flanks, flank around, and apply that debuff to at least 2 different units. And we're going to get 2 Orc Boys. I don't want to get Biggins here because I'm not sure how much time I have. I may not have 2 turns. Like, if they step up and start sieging me, it's going to cancel the recruitment on these Biggins. And it's going to be a waste. So I just want to get these single turn units. I may not even get these. If they go up and siege, like, next turn, immediately, it's going to probably, I think it's going to cancel the recruitment of these guys. Because the recruitment doesn't happen until the start of my next turn. Remember, not the end of this current turn. So, okay, we're going to hire 4 of those, for sure. Get a little bit of debuff. We're hiring here. Got about 4 minutes left. Fresh turn. These guys are attacking. Can't do anything with the buildings yet. Nope, just looked at this. We don't want to upgrade this yet. Once again, we'll upgrade it once we get closer to actually acquiring this tier 3. But it's 2,000 gold. We're really tight on gold. It doesn't give you any useful units. Yes, it's necessary to step up and get Biggins, but now I also have a Biggin recruitment center down here. So I may just shelve this whole thing for now and just wait a while until I upgrade this building. So we'll just see. Alright, looking at rating, it's not that important. Battle reports, they kicked my butt. Territorial disputes. Okay, so they took 2 places and are recruited units. So no new wars. Remember, if you see wars showing up, that means you might be able to join the war. That should be a little light bulb going off in your head. Hey, maybe I can buy into that. Maybe I can purchase an agreement to go into war with certain people. Check again real quick for peace. Oh, if we see yellow, that means we can probably buy peace. That's all we're looking for here.
Where's my manners?
Okay, so the Red Fangs want peace. But, so they're green, so that means they would actually probably pay us quite a lot. Alright, real quickly, let's think about this. Okay, so they're out of position. They know that. They see that I'm posturing to get aggressive on this town. That's why they want this peace treaty, because they want to buy time so they can go over here, and I don't really know what they're trying to do over here, honestly. Like, they just want to throw their hat in the ring to try to take this area. But it looks like the Thief Snatches are probably the biggest kids on the block. Either way, these guys are not the toughest people over there, but that doesn't matter as much. They're just out of position, and they know that I'm threatening this. This guy is just one person, so he doesn't really matter yet. So I could probably milk like 1,000 gold out of them at least. The question becomes, if I do that though, what am I going to do with this wall army? Like, I clearly want to gain more territory here because I've committed to Carrick 8 Peaks and defending this region. So I want more territory. The only other option, if I take this peace treaty, I'm going to have to wait, 10 turns or so. Once again, I could take it and then just break it next turn. But it's really, really going to hurt me diplomatically, and I want to be able to confederate with other orcs, especially like these guys up here. Looks like they're retaking some of this from the dwarves because the dwarves came down here to start harassing my allies and really strengthen this position. So they let the orcs sneak back in here and gain this territory back. So if I can confederate with these guys in a few turns, that'll be amazing, because I think they have 3 properties right now. So I don't want to backstab these guys, in other words. I don't want to take the money and then just go to war with them next turn and take this city anyways. I could easily do that, but it's going to hurt me diplomatically too much. It's going to hurt my grand strategy too much, I think, to do that. So if I declare peace with them, the only other option to use this wall in some way is to come down here and fight these guys and try to retake some of this territory. But this is just so crazy down here. Like, there's no way that I'm going to do anything productive here. And I'm certainly not going to run up and take out these dwarves. I mean, I could turn on the Scabby Eye and start taking them out. It's just going to cause a lot of problems. So, I mean, I could send them after these dwarves. That's actually something to consider. Like, I could tell them to go fight these dwarves, put this off for like 10 turns or so. Fight these dwarves and just start taking out these towns with them. Also, if I get good diplomatic relationships with these guys, they might just want to confederate with me in... I only have 2 turns left on this penalty. This confederation penalty. So, if these guys get destroyed over here, which is going to happen, they get their army completely wiped out, and I'm sitting on their door, and I'm, like, super strong, and they're getting harassed by these other dwarves over here, which is entirely possible. And I play nice with these guys. They might just confederate with me. I would get 4 properties down here. This would give me a great stronghold to really put the chokehold on these dwarves. The more I talk about this, the more this seems helpful. I think this might actually be what I do. I think I've talked myself into it. So it seems very tempting, and just, at first glance, it seems like I really want this town, and I do. And I could go down and fight these guys also. But these dwarves are the much bigger threat. They've got this 20-stack army, and they have some pretty decent territory over here as well. It's pretty well fortified. Yeah, the dwarves are the bigger threat, and I just might be able to get an alliance with these guys. And by alliance, I mean confederate and take them over. Because they're showing me such high favor for this peace treaty. Like, green is really high. Okay, so we're at time. So I've got to make a decision here. And then we'll start off next episode probably getting really aggressive with those dwarves. So interesting how the tables have turned. So they don't like me. But I have also released some of their troops in the past when I fought them, apparently. So that's helping me a little bit diplomatically. Let me just look over here again.
I'm the only boss, so speak, and it better be interesting.
Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to see how much money they're going to give me. I need the money. And for all those reasons I just described, I think this might be beneficial. Now, if this doesn't work out, I can always, if they don't want to confederate with me, I can always just take them out later, in 10 turns or so. I think the dwarves are going to keep me occupied for at least 10 turns, trying to take these towns if I can even beat their army. So I think I have something else I can do that's productive. And then I could come back and revisit this later if it doesn't work out the way that I want. Okay, so let's try 1,000. Okay, so we got $1,000 out of them, and gold. Sorry if I'm being very American-centric here. I know, eventually I hope to be able to get some European viewers, maybe some Asia, Africa, South America, everybody. I hope everybody around the globe just comes to the Strategy Professor. So I'm not trying to be American-centric here by saying dollars. That's just colloquial, just what we call cash or money, currency. Here in America, we just call them dollars or bucks or whatever. So technically they're gold, but just when I'm talking and thinking, I just might say dollars or bucks or cash or whatever. So I'm not trying to be American-centric. That's just that's just how I naturally talk when I'm just kind of in the moment thinking, when I'm not trying to be, when I'm not trying to be sensitive to other cultures. So I apologize about that if that offends you, if you're, British and you use the pound system or something like that, or any other number of other countries. So I apologize if I'm being too American-centric there, but that's just going to happen from time to time just because that's just how I've, grown up learning how to reference money. Okay. So they don't want non-aggression pacts. They don't want military access. They don't want any of this other stuff. So they're definitely not buddy-buddy with me just yet. But it's headed that direction. After this Confederation penalty wears off, they might reconsider it. I don't know. It's a long shot. It's certainly not super probable, but in the short term, we got 1,000. We got 1,000 gold. And we could reallocate our resources elsewhere. Okay, so these guys are in dire straits. Thief snatches. Do they want a peace treaty?
If this is bad.
Nope. These guys definitely don't want peace treaties. Zhufbar maybe. They're pretty far away.
You dare
Oh, okay, they actually
approach
do.
the Lord of the Dowie in such a manner?
Okay, so they're probably taking some heat from the undead. They might even be taking some heat from the bloody spears. So they just want to stop as many wars as they can, so they can just really focus their efforts. Okay, so it was green, so it's really high. That's really low. That's a very narrow band here. Okay, it's moderate. Let's see. Oh, I don't think so. They want me to pay them for a peace treaty. I don't think so, buddy. That's curious why it says green. So they want it, they just want me to pay them for it. That's what this comes down to. Let me try just a little bit less here. Okay, now they're down to just a flat peace treaty. So they're bargaining with me. I'm not going to do it for free. Because why? Like, they're not threatening me. I don't need to be friends with their friends. There's no reason to do this. Unless it's cash. Okay. So, I got 300 bucks, not game breaking, but all of this adds up.
What a...
Your man gods and dubious masters have no place here.
Okay. No, nothing's happening there. Okay, so I think this is going to be the end of this episode. I'll try to see if I can do another one sometime today pretty shortly. But I'm going to run some errands, drop by the gym really quick, think about some of these things, what I want to do here. I think I'm just going to try to attack these guys and just get numbers on them once again. So I'll have 11, 20, it's 31. I can send the wall over here. And I think hopefully 31 would be sufficient for an auto-resolve on these guys. I'm still not sure if that's the case because they have higher tech units and dwarves just destroy orcs early. So the computer might recognize the auto-resolve system. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to be the game plan. Next episode, we're going to get aggressive with these dwarves. We might get an awesome manual fight. If not, we're definitely going to get some good auto-resolve fights. And then we're going to start taking this territory. And we're going to leverage our wall and come over here and start trying to take these territories. The wall can use the underway, by the way. So if I tell them to go take this, they can theoretically just run like right here and then pop under the underway and then start attacking it. Okay, so thank you guys very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I certainly enjoyed broadcasting it to you. And have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next time.